Okay. Okay. All right. We will get rolling here. Um, People that are standing, hi. Hi, Susie. People that are standing, we have, Toby, you guys, we have chairs over here that are under the thing. We can carry some of those back. We hate to make you stand. We'd love everybody to get a seat. And there are, I'm going to tell you what they tell you on airplanes. If you're putting your coat on a seat, please move it so people can use it. Right. Airplanes say that about the overhead luggage rack. But let's make sure everybody has a seat that wants a seat, and then we will get going. There's one more seat up here in the front if anybody wants to come, and there's more of these stools that we can carry to the back. So is everybody seated? I'm going to introduce Ian, who's going to introduce Dr. Scarborough, but I want to tell you first of all, again, thank you for joining us again. For people that keep hearing me speak, I apologize. I'm sure you're sick of me by now, so sorry you got to hear this again. Okay. But thank you guys very much for spending your time with us today. People that came yesterday or last night to Blueprints, we really, really appreciate it. We hope you had a good time. We are thrilled that yesterday and this week finally came for the opening of the Excel Center. I just want to give you the quick background of it because this idea emanated from Dr. Scarborough, and we're excited that he's here to talk today. It was his idea that wound up coming to fruition in a meeting. By the way, I didn't know this campus. I had never set foot on it, knew nothing about the University of Akron. Ian was the president as a grad school student. He was the president of the graduate student government. Ian asked me to come give a speech on campus. It was at that talk that I met Dr. Scarborough and learned about this university. And it's at the point that Scott said, have an idea to increase experiential learning on campus and to build a center. So his idea is what you're sitting in now, the Excel Center. We were given the task of, and I'll be really honest, what I said initially was the only way I'll do this is if I can immediately hire Ian, because there was no way I was doing with this without him. And then Ian and I jointly, is Carolyn here? She'll be here soon. Okay, Ian and I jointly said the same thing about Dr. Carolyn Behrman from the faculty, who she'll be here in a moment. She's our faculty liaison. And now we have a whole team of students as well that are helping us make this reality. But let me just tell you what the point of it is that you're sitting here. The goal of the Excel Center was this, that we want to create the richest possible experience for a student on this campus we can give them. And what that means is to supplement everything you do. Your education needs to be bigger than a classroom. You need to be involved in the community. You need to be involved with corporations, with nonprofits and NGOs and entities. You need to be part of the city. You need to be part of your industry. And you need to be part of a community that cares. What does that mean? The Excel Center stands for the Experiential Learning Center for Entrepreneurship and Civic Engagement. Experiential learning is the root of all this. We feel like the more opportunities students on this campus, and it turns out faculty and community members, get to connect with each other and work on real-world projects, the better we'll all be. Students will find out, for instance, sometimes what you find out is something that you thought you loved and you hated it when you did it. I went through the trouble of getting a difficult engineering degree, getting an engineering job, and then I didn't really like being an engineer. And if I'd had a chance on an internship of some kind in an engineering company, I might have found out way earlier what I like and what I don't like. So part of this, it's all an exploration. For students to get out in the world and real world experience, find out what they want to do with their lives, find out what they like, what they don't like. Here's where the community benefits. Our faculty get to take research into the field with groups of students. When you meet Carolyn later, you'll hear about that. So we want our faculty to take their expertise into the field and address a real problem in the world. The University of Akron, its teachers and its students should be out there solving problems in the world. They do that with experiential learning. So this is a place for students to come. And what's great is Ian and I's offices are next door. Carolyn is right here. But I had them put in big letters on the outside of my office the words "come in," which was culturally interesting because a lot of people kept saying, Jeff, if you do that, people will just come in your office. And I had to say, the only reason I come here every day is hoping that people will come in my office, especially students. What we want, and what the Excel Center is a place for a student to come in and say, I've always wondered about this. Thinking of nursing. Any way you could get me an internship in nursing or whatever. Our career services department, Laura is here, our career services department is already providing the career services level that we have a lot of great internship programs in nursing, in politics, in engineering, in a lot of places, but it's not spread evenly. If you're a history major, what internship do you get? And lots of things in our colleges of arts and sciences. So what we said was, let's create opportunities for every student to wander into the Excel Center, tell us what your interest is, and we'll connect you with somebody in the world. If it's nonprofit, NGO, charitable, if it's business, job, and corporate related, we will create opportunities for students and faculty to work off campus in a real world setting. That's the Excel Center's goal. In addition to that, we're also being much more supportive of entrepreneurship. What if the job you want doesn't exist and you want to make it? You want to create it. There are 2 products in this room right now, these JazzyWig stand-up tables and these Boxcast cameras that were startups by students, some of whom were in the room with us, that created these products that we're featuring here. We want to enable students to pursue whatever their dream or passion is. And lastly, we want you, the community, to have a place to come where you say, we really need some graphic designers. And we say, great, we got fantastic ones that would love to intern with you. Or literally, you could say to us, we need some people to build a fence. Right? We have to repair a fence at a place that has no budget for it. We've got students that want civic engagement and service experience that will come out and do that. So the community should come to the Excel Center. Tell us what you need, and we'll help match it. We are the clearinghouse. That's what Scott wanted us to be. And the community, whether you're a business or, again, a charitable organization, come here and tell us what you need. Students and faculty, come here and tell us what you want. We are here to be that clearinghouse that connects all these people together. That's why we're holding the events that we're having. So I wanted to give you that perspective. Thank you guys for being here. I want to hand it over to Ian, who will introduce Dr. Scarborough. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. Let's hear for Jeff Hoffman. Doing a great job here in Akron. Jeff came here, like he said, for that speech I did as GSG president, and the reality of that was Jeff started to fall in love with us, with you, with the students, with the faculty, with the city of Akron. And with this opportunity, he's part of our community, and it's going to make a big difference for a lot of people in a lot of ways. So thank you, my friend. I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to do right now. And President Scarborough, as he said, had the vision for the Excel Center, and so we began putting it together, essentially to be a new platform to resource our faculty members with brilliant ideas, to give them the cover to take some pretty serious risks for our students to produce some new programs that go off into the community and make a difference, and the students are applying what they're learning by solving real problems. That, in and of itself, is the competitive advantage that we want our students to walk away with from the University of Akron, to be able to go into an interview and see the credentials, see the GPA, and then have some blaring experiences on that resume that the employer says, tell me about when you went and worked with Downtown Akron Partnership and put together a new sports league in Akron, and the university somehow had something to do with it, and it raised money for United Way. What was that all about? That is an opportunity for that student's character to then shine. That's when the difference of that person getting the job or the other 5 that interviewed, probably the decision makes itself pretty apparent. And that's what we want to do for each and every student, no matter where they are, no matter what their degree path is. Like he said, not really spread evenly. Internships, co-ops for engineering and some other things, fabulous. Our career services division is absolutely incredible. You really do want to talk to Laura Carey about all the things they do over there in the career Excel, which is in the student union. But there are some other things that are just ideas, things that don't really have form yet. That's what this space is for. And so I really do think that our university is going to be so much better off for what we're going to have from the Excel Center going forward. We're just launching now, so thank you all for being here. And I think being here today in front of this group is a real great opportunity for us to have President Scarborough here. And I was reminded of something the other night Martin Luther King said, which was the true measure of a man is not where he stands in times of safety and certainty. This is a paraphrase. The true measure of a man is where they stand in times of controversy and chaos. And I'll tell you right now, things have not been as easy as we may have all hoped here, but I'll tell you right now, today, President Scarborough is here with us at this very exciting time to tell you about the competitive advantage and the future of the University of Akron. So President Scarborough, please come here.
Can you hear me? Now can you hear me? Good. Well, it's a delight to be with you this morning. I began this morning in Washington, D.C., so it's been a long day already. Last night, we celebrated the Ohio birthday party in Washington, D.C. with all of our federal leaders and state leaders and all of their staffs, hoping to develop some good relationships that might end up in federal grants. Can I get an amen to that? Yes. There's some people in the room that would like a few more federal grants.
How old are we, sir?
I don't even know. Do you know? 100 and... No? Okay, what? 213? Is that about right? That's good. Everyone had a great time last night. It was wall to wall. And we had we had Senator Portman there. We had all of our federal legislators. So it was just a great evening. One of the things that I enjoy doing when I have to take these short trips is to pick up a book, kind of read on the way up or the way back. Anybody do that? This is when I kind of browse the bookstore while waiting for the flight to arrive. And I know Ian didn't plan to do this, but there was kind of an interesting Martin Luther King story in this book that I picked up this time that I thought I might start with, because I found it fascinating. So let me read just a couple paragraphs out of the book. It says, half a century after King delivered his momentous speech, 4 words are etched into the stone tablets of our collective memory. I have a dream. It remains one of the most recognizable phrases in the history of human rhetoric, as it has painted a vivid portrait of a better future. But I was stunned, the author writes, to find out that the dream idea was not written into the speech at all. Okay? It didn't appear in the draft that was originally written by a Mr. Jones, nor did King include it in his version of the script. During the address, King's favorite gospel singer, Mahalia Jackson, shouted from behind him, "Tell him about the dream, Martin." He continued with his script, and she encouraged him again. Before a live crowd of 250,000 and millions more watching on TV, King improvised. Pushing his notes aside and launching into his inspiring vision of the future. In front of all those people, cameras and microphones, Charles Jones reflects, Martin winged it. It was really interesting. It was 11 minutes into the speech that Mahalia Jackson called for King to share his dream. I decided, King recalled, no, let's see. It is unclear whether he heard her, but, quote, just all of a sudden I decided, King recalled, to do that. He followed the emotion of the moment and unfolded his dream. By the time the speech was done, Hansen notes, King added so much new material to his prepared speech that the length of his address nearly doubled. Nearly doubled. Now, the reason I thought this was interesting today is because someone has written me a 45-minute speech to give, okay? But in reality, it seems a little too big for the intimacy of the moment. It feels like in a moment like this, when we're together in this wonderful new space that I'm seeing for the first time, on the day of launching this great new center, the Excel Center, that it would be much better off just kind of talking about how this fits into the dream of the University of Akron and where it's heading and how it fits into all of our futures moving forward. So that's what I'd like to do today. You've heard a little bit of the story about how we first met Jeff at a speech at the Graduate Student Council event that Ian had sponsored. And when I met Jeff, I thought, okay, here's the person who can help us leverage a historical strength. This really isn't something new. I said this in the panel discussion. What this is intended to do is to strengthen an existing strength, leverage an existing strength to go from glory to glory. This is not something new. Our engineering co-op program is over 100 years, one of the first engineering co-op programs in the country. Our Bliss Institute has a well-known internship program. So internships and co-ops and service and learning, they're not new here. They're already one of the existing strengths. We just need to take it to the next level because it's the best type of higher education possible. When you combine what a great professor teaches you in the classroom and what you've learned through all the assignments and the homework and all the resources that are available online, when you combine that with a great experiential learning opportunity like an internship or a co-op or service learning or even a virtual simulation of some sort or study abroad, when you combine it, that's higher education in its richest form. That's when learning retention is at its highest. That's when the possibility to change lives happens. How many people have come back from a study abroad experience and said it was transformational? Experiential learning is transformational. So it's a piece of the puzzle. It's not the sole piece, but it's an important piece of the puzzle, I think, of what we're trying to accomplish at this university. Anytime you're in a leadership position, you're trying to do at least two things, if not more. You're trying to pursue opportunities, while at the same time you're trying to solve problems that are limiting your opportunities. And that's a tough balancing act for any leader. How much time do I spend on new opportunities versus fixing problems, okay? This Excel Center does both. It allows us to leverage an existing strength and to grow the number of experiential learning opportunities across all of our academic disciplines, not just the traditional professional programs, but it also allows us to fix a problem. And what do I mean by that? Our biggest problem, we've talked about it a lot, is that our enrollment is declining. A lot of universities' enrollments are declining, especially in states in the Midwest and the Northeast. There's a good reason for that, okay? People aren't having as many kids anymore. There aren't as many children graduating from high school as there once were. There is a population migration that has occurred over a number of years from colder climates to warmer climates. People are more mobile these days. The economic engine of the South, the Southwest and West has moved a lot of jobs to that point. I say all that simply to say we have to solve kind of an enrollment problem. But how do you do that? You do that becoming something that's very distinctive, something that's very compelling, something that's very value added. You do that by becoming known for something. And there were two things that this institution was known for, or that I knew about Akron before coming to Akron. One was the great tradition in our polymer science and polymer engineering program, and its fabulous connection to the rubber industry, to the point of really of helping to save our country during World War II in the development of synthetic rubber, which was critically important since the Japanese had cut off supplies of natural rubber. Synthetic rubber, if you want Jeeps to run, you got to have tires. So we were instrumental in the saving of our nation. We were instrumental in a building of an industry that made Akron great. Why is Akron great? Akron is great because it had an unusual, disproportionate amount of resources that came by being the headquarters of these great tire and rubber companies. Okay? We enjoy many of the cultural benefits of that historical strength of our community. And we have been an important part of that development over the years. The other thing that I knew about Akron before coming to Akron is that this university had a great history of being connected to the city and to the region. Okay? Those are the two things that I knew about Akron. So in terms of turning our enrollment around, in terms of leveraging existing strengths, in terms of becoming more distinctive, I knew we didn't want to slip in that polymer science and polymer research program. We want to try to take it to the next level. And we want to take a historical strength and connectedness and take it to the next level, to the benefit of not only our students, but also the city. So that's what gave birth to the idea of needing an organizational unit to help all of our colleges take that next step. I also knew, just based on good old-fashioned focus group research with students coming out of high school. So just imagine I'm sitting in a room looking through a one-way mirror, listening to prospective students talk about what are you looking for in a university when you select a university. The one thing that every student was most excited about was experiential learning opportunities. So it is a home run, not only leveraging existing strengths, but also fitting what students are looking for when they come to college. This is a hands-on generation, okay? This is a generation that comes with the aspiration of a career and graduating and having a job opportunity when they graduate. And experiential learning, it facilitates all of that. But it is part of a larger dream. So as I'm reading this book on the way home this morning and reading this story about how this gospel singer is screaming to the great Martin Luther King from somewhere saying, quit going with your normal script. Just tell them about the dream, okay? And it's the one thing that everyone knows now is what that dream was and how that was improvised. So on the plane this morning, I just started scribbling a few notes. So I'm not going to attempt to paint a dream because that's a terrible standard to live up to. But I do want to talk to you a little bit of how this center kind of fits into what I hope happens at this university. And since this wasn't written into the script, I'm going to, in this long text that's been provided, I need to find, okay, here it is. So when I look into the future of this great university, I see first the College of Polymer Science and Polymer Engineering remaining great. We cannot slip. So even in a period of declining resources, we still have to make the investments because the polymer industry and all the 2,500 companies and the 130,000 people that work in that industry is such a central part of Northeast Ohio and part of our tradition. And it has to continue to be truly one of the top world-class research programs. So we're going to invest what resources that we have to make sure that we continue that. I see the expansion of our research programs in areas of corrosion, where the federal and state government have stepped forward with external funding to help make that happen. A lot of our country's resources are decaying. Materials are decaying at great cost. People are willing to give us money to research how to create materials where that doesn't happen. In biomimicry, this generation and our scientists and professors here learning from nature and being able to take those great lessons of nature and then being able to produce new products that fit into the marketplace, that are easier on the environment. We've got a great thing going. We're a leader in the field of biomimicry. We're going to ride that wave on the work of some of our great faculty members. IT, we live in an technological world. There is no denying that. And if you're not comfortable in navigating technology, you're just going to be left behind. So we're going to make investments because our students need to be at the top of the game in terms of their comfort level with not only technology, but the data and how to use the analytics, which I thought was fascinating. We didn't plan it either, but that, what was it called? The BRAIN project, the high school students, they're here with us. I mean, they're right where they need to be and where all of us need to be to a greater degree. So we're going to invest in these areas that match the need of the world in which we live and the great competencies and strength of our great faculty. And we're going to continue to invest to be leaders in the research in those particular areas. I also see, when I look in the future, tenured faculty leading research programs throughout the university. They will link their research agendas to the grand challenges of our world and to the educational needs of both our graduate students and our undergraduate students. I see that in our future. I also see what I would call full-time clinical faculty, respected professors of practice who have both industry experience as well as academic credentials to bring to the classroom. This has been a part of our history because of our proximity to a great source of professionals who can step into the classroom on either a part-time or a full-time basis, and we have to continue to leverage that historical strength. I see them connecting our undergraduate and professional masters and doctoral students to the laboratories of life and of real markets and the experiential learning that we're here to celebrate today in Northeast Ohio and around the world. I also see great part-time faculty at this institution. Some retired from substantive careers wanting to give back and to bring that wealth of experience to our students in the classroom, and others that are still building their active careers, but all of them giving us a moment in time to help us to handle special educational needs and to help us manage peak demands when we can't predict exactly how many students are going to be here in a given semester. They're enormously helpful to us in terms of helping manage this university efficiently so that we can keep the cost of higher education as low as possible so that everyone has access to it. I see advanced technology bringing experts around the world, faculty around the world, into our classroom through Skype technologies and FaceTime, and on our iPads, and our students being able to access not only our great faculty full-time and part-time, but faculty and experts from around the world. We have to facilitate that, not for some of our students, for all of our students. Inspiring them, educating them, connecting them to the variety and richness of experiences that students heretofore that none of us have ever experienced. I see a main campus in our future full of both traditional and non-traditional students from Akron, from Northeast Ohio, from around the world. They come to Akron to experience a university and a city that are inspiring, beautiful, and supportive of not only their intellectual development, but their character development, their social development. That's an element that will never be forgotten. I see a university which each of our 11 colleges advance in ways that are consistent with their own unique strategic plans to advance academic quality, program distinctiveness, and their ability to support their programs financially. I see a growing array of satellite campuses in our future. We already have 5 satellite campuses: Orrville, Brunswick, Medina, Holmes County, and Lakeview. Okay? I see why? Because that's how we serve the non-traditional student, where location and convenience and access to evening programs are all important to our ability to serve and allow them to advance in their career. I see the University of Akron building on its historical strengths of connectedness to industry in city and county to create learning opportunities for students, and I see this Excel Center being the driving force in helping that happen. I see a university that is alive and connected to an energized Main Street, Exchange Streets, and all the neighborhoods around the university. We are grateful to have Susie here today. Thank you for being here from Downtown Akron Partnerships. I see us being a great partner for Susie and her organization and the Knight Foundation and the city in helping to energize not only what happens on campus, but what happens in the city, because the city is our campus, and our campus is the city. And those partnerships are going to be critical moving forward. I see a university in our future that is both proud of its history and excited about its future, where people are focused on student success. People here are working diligently to make sure that every student has a chance of graduating with a degree. I see a university where students graduate at the same rate regardless of race, economic background, or other factors. I see a university that helps all students partake in the American dream at a great public university. I see a university that becomes more tolerant, that recognizes and celebrates its diversity, in all ways, that welcomes it and celebrates it. I see, someone said that at the end of every one of Ellen's programs, she says, let's be kind. Was that the expression? I see a kind university in our future, an uplifting university in our future, a forgiving university in our future, an inspiring university in our future. I see a great university that embraces students who seek PhD, doctoral degrees, as well as celebrating students that are seeking associate degrees, that we serve the great broad spectrum of academic programs that have been a part of our history and that should continue to be a part of the history of a great public university. I see our university as a force for good in the future, a force for economic development, a force for both technology and the arts. What was it that Steve Jobs taught us? What is the great lesson of Apple Computer? That it is the combining of technology and the arts. That's what made Apple the great American business success story of this century and the previous century, how he taught us that great success is a combination in so many ways of technology and the arts. And I see the University of Akron leading in all of these ways to be a national university. From what started to be a private little liberal Christian college to a great municipal university, to a great state university, to a great national university. That's the evolution that I see us on. So, but we got to keep changing to be relevant to get there. And this university has always changed to be relevant whenever it needed to do so. So that's what I see. That's some scribbled notes on a plane back from Washington, D.C. this morning, having been inspired by a story of one of the great leaders of American history who winged it on his greatest day and who left us with one of the greatest messages of all time, I have a dream. All of this is possible. In the end, it all depends on people. It all depends on, do people work together? It all depends on teamwork. And we see that in so many different ways. So the Excel Center is that organizational unit that's going to try to leverage our strengths in both connectedness and in terms of experiential learning, in terms of things that happen on campus with things that happen in the community, and help to spread that among all of our academic programs so that every student, whether they're a doctoral student or an associate degree student, leaves with the optimal educational experience of having great faculty in the classroom, all the resources and technology they need to be relevant in the world, and the opportunity to experience it live in the real world to see if they're ready for the real world. And if they are, more times than not, those experiential learning opportunities lead to job opportunities. That's how this is a piece of a greater puzzle that we'll put together going forward. So with that, why don't we do this? That's enough context. Why don't we have a conversation now about what you're thinking, what you may have heard that you like or you dislike. And before we get into this section, let me just say this. What's great about universities is that they are environments for productive debate, free expression of opinions, that we engage issues unrestricted to try to find what is truth, what is our best understanding of truth that we can come to collectively. So don't let anybody feel like I'm hoping we don't have an interesting conversation today. We should. The one thing I've learned, however, and I learned this in my doctoral program, is that there were a group of academicians who have taught us that debate and conflict is a wonderfully good thing. It improves decision making as long as you keep it on the issues you're debating. The moment you let debate or conflict turn personal, it actually becomes destructive to good decision making. So that's the key. Let's debate vigorously. Let's celebrate our differences of opinion, and let's try to get the best decision we can on the issues. But let's never let it become personal where we feel like that just by disagreeing with someone means that that person is wrong in some way. That's not it at all. That's the greatest way to kill diversity, if you go at it that way. So with that in mind, who has a question? Yes, ma'am. We'll start with you and then go right back here.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'd love to see this as a great global university. Personally, I'm not really satisfied until the most remotest of places heard about the University of Akron and it's impacted their life. So with technology and what we have available to us, with YouTube and other things that just are everywhere and global, we should be impacting the globe. And so I just said let's take a little higher to a great global university.
Hang on, because no one can hear her. So
Oh, okay. Very
so
good.
we'll do, Scott, why don't you use this one? We'll let the audience use the wireless, assuming that is on. Can you repeat that in 12 words, please?
I'm looking forward to this being a great global university with. Say that again. Use what?
We just want you to summarize. No,
Great. I just want this to be a great global university. With technology now, we are all around the world. I watch video and source video from every country on the planet. So I just want you to know, I think I'm not satisfied until the University of Akron and everybody all over the globe knows who we are. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you.
And my response to that is, I think you're right. We have a tremendous opportunity. We actually are underrepresented at the undergraduate level in terms of how many international students that we have. And now, not at the graduate level. We do fairly well at the graduate, but at the undergraduate level, we have a huge opportunity, I think, to attract more students here. We just have to do a better job of saying what is uniquely value add, what is uniquely a strength at the institution so that they have a compelling reason to come here. But we have an opportunity, and we're going to need to do that because it's going to be harder to get students in this area. So we've got to complement that by reaching further into other student markets.
Please say your name and who you are. By the way, guys, we're webcasting this. We have people watching. So please state who you are and tell us.
Hello, my name is Sapufa White. I'm a senior. I'm a public relations communication major. You touched on earlier that you want to see everybody of each race graduating at the same rate. Currently, our graduation rates for African Americans is very low, and I want to know, what do you have in plan to help raise the graduation rates?
I'm happy to report to you that we've got several groups of people, both inside the university and outside the university, that are working together to put everything that we can think of in place to achieve that goal of everyone graduating at the same rate, regardless of race or other differences. Some of the groups that I refer to are an entity called EMS, Educate, Motivate, Succeed, a group of community leaders, primarily African American, coming together, working with the university to help identify programs to do that. Another group is the Akron Faith Community. Very significant pastors and ministers in the area coming together to work with the university, led by Bishop Joey Johnson. Also, the students on campus have come forward in a new organization called the Black Excellence Commission, which is kind of an umbrella organization for other student organizations on campus. We've been having regular meetings with them. Both groups have brought to us their top 3 things that they think we need to do, action steps. So we have that. We're in the process of implementing those plans at the moment. Off the top of my head, some that I remember include a much more active student orientation program for African American students early on, making sure that we have people who are expert in retention issues working in our Office of Multicultural Development and in our African American male learning community. Other programs is that we've initiated recently is asking Fred Wright, formerly with the, how many years were you with the Urban League overall? 30? Only 27? 27? To help us kind of think through these issues. We've elevated the Chief Diversity Officer position to report directly to the President so that we make this the highest priority. We've got good diversity on our Board of Trustees. Out of our 7 current members, we have, plus the 2 student trustees, so of a total of 9, 3 of our trustees are African American. One's here today, our student trustee, Darnell Davis. we've been very proactive in terms of increasing the diversity of our senior leadership team over the last 18 months. And we've been very overt about our need to do that. Our new Dean of the Honors College is African-American female. Our new Dean of the College of Health Professions, African-American male. Our new Center for Data Science, Analytics, and Information Technology is Mario Garcia. Our new Chief Information Officer is Mr. Godfrey Avigo. And I'm probably forgetting others. So we're making good progress. But we got a long way to go. The one thing that I would say is when you compare those graduation rates, you also have to see who are the colleges letting in the front door. Some colleges have higher graduation rates, but they're only letting in the top 10% who graduated from high school. We let in the top 50% at our university who graduate from high school in a variety of academic programs. Okay, we have some extremely selective programs, as you would expect, but we have other programs where the door is more wide open. But on average, we let in the top 50% of people who graduate. So our graduation rate's going to be predictably lower than an institution that only lets in the top 10%. So comparing those two numbers is like really comparing apples and oranges. That's why I say we want everyone to graduate at the same rate, and we want to do everything that we can to make sure those rates are as high as possible. That's our goal. Our goal in our diversity program, number one, is minority student success, minority student graduation. And our second goal is making sure that we're using every community resource to help maximize the investments that we can make as an institution. And our third goal is to make sure that we continue the tradition, great tradition that we've had in national programming at this university with the nationally recognized Black Male Summit and programs like Rethinking Race. We don't want to lose ground there either. But those are our three goals that our Chief Diversity Officer and all the people that work under the Chief Diversity Officer, whether it's the Office of Multicultural Development or the TRIO program or the Choose Ohio First program or the African American Male Learning Community program or the Paid Peer Mentoring program or the Success Coach program, on and on and on, that all these programs are geared to achieving those three goals in that order. First and foremost, people need to graduate.
Dates on April 8th and 9th, and the keynote speaker is Travis Smiley. Also going to have the Tom Joyner morning show. He's going to do his morning show here on campus, and for those who don't know, Tom Joyner morning show reaches over 100 million people, so that's going to be an outstanding opportunity. And then we also have a free dinner over at the Urban League on the 7th, where we get together to talk about Black male issues.
Yeah.
And we've been sharing externally. 2 weeks ago was Black Tech Week. He's hosted down in Miami this national event, and I happened to do the keynote speech. So we talked to a lot of people to see what other universities are doing and got a lot of valuable feedback. So we're all networking to address the issues wherever we can. We have a question here.
Hello. Excuse me. My name is Dylan Hansen. I'm a senior here as well in public relations. My question was a little bit more focused on the Excel Center, and I was just wondering how we were going to effectively communicate it to students and successfully integrate it. Because as a senior, there are some programs that I only just found about this year.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure, because it sounds really exciting, I want to make sure that it's something that once I leave, that students will have the opportunity to really experience.
So
Yeah.
first of all, thank you for volunteering.
No, oops.
Glad you raised your hand. Ian, you want to hit that first?
Well, I think we have tried to do a lot of different things to promote ourselves this week. Now, President Scarborough announced the idea for the center back in May. Jeff came on in July. And we decided to, instead of just going out and starting talking and getting everybody's spirits up about it immediately, we wanted to get it right before we came out. Because I was a student here in 2 different programs. And one of the things I know from being a student is that if you are going to come out with a new program, students are going to give it a really good, hard look. They're going to ask some tough questions. And if there's no substance beneath it, they're going to have zero respect for it. And to get that respect back is a real challenge. And so what we wanted to do was to make sure we put it together with the Student Advisory Council, Faculty Advisory Council, Community Advisory Council, to build up and to get this right. So So now that we're here, we've launched, and so we've begun to do a lot of outreach to get people to know, starting with these 3 days. But I think what you raised is a very good point, and that is that we need to be proactive. We need to have tons of people like you, students, honestly, putting together a vigorous PR assault. You know, there was a great article in the Beacon today. There was a great article in the Book Delights today and last Tuesday. We are trying, getting things on the news. We're doing as much as we can, but I'll be honest, Jeff is a professional at this, but Jeff has got a lot of things he's responsible for this. If we have people like you that really know this game and know the current version of the game, please partner with us. Become part of our street team. Let's get it on.
Thank you. Yeah, we're open to any suggestions. I'll just reiterate what Ian said. We intentionally, and I'll take the blame for that, we intentionally stayed quiet, which doesn't help marketing.
But remember, I come from the business and product side, right? We don't advertise the product until in my world, so we did the same thing here. We said, let's actually have something for you before we tell you about it. Now we need everybody's help in spreading the word on what the Excel Center is and what it does. Am I making this thing fall off the wall, thereby killing a third of our budget? Truly a third. By the way, Carolyn, come in, because this is the Carolyn Behrman, Dr. Carolyn Behrman we were talking about earlier, who's on our team as well. Next question. Who wants the mic? Okay, hand it back to you.
We'll take it across over there.
Hi, my name is Akila. I'm a junior studying biology at Akron. So you mentioned that biomimicry is one of our fastest growing fields. And I think that it's rooted in being interdisciplinary.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, I feel that it's necessary to grow the other colleges and research labs within the university and create opportunities for departmental overlap to really continue expanding the biomimicry program. So how can we distribute opportunities and funding evenly so that more students can get involved with the programs at Akron that's Akron is known for? And how can the Excel Center be a conduit for that?
Well, that's what we try to do, and I think the best way you do it is to put together a budget process that brings as many constituencies to the table and as many people as you can, because in the end, it's a collective judgment of where our limited resources are best invested. And the way you get to a good decision is you bring people to the table that have some level of expertise, a complete level of independence around the decision, and you get as many voices kind of looking at it and recommending and coming to best decision that you can. I agree with you. I think that the strength of biomimicry is the interdisciplinary nature of that. The implication then that we need to invest as broadly as we can into the research agenda is a very difficult one to operationalize, simply because all of that research requires resources. And traditionally, a lot of the resources that have funded our most significant investments in research have been externally funded. Okay? It's getting increasingly harder to take student tuition dollars to fund unfunded research. Now, we were able to do some of that when undergraduate student populations were growing. You could take some of that incremental revenue and you could help fund something that was unfunded on the research side. But now, given population demographics, with undergraduate research moving in the other direction, it is really the source of the tension here, to be honest with you. That resource contraction and having to rebalance that equation with a more limited resource base is really at the heart of what we're struggling with right now as an institution. Because all of what we do is noble. All of what we do has great potential. It's just all of what we do costs money, and there's not enough of it. I don't know if anybody have experienced that in your own personal life, but it's the same thing in institutional life as well. The other thing that makes research so powerful but yet so challenging at the same time is that you do have all of these wonderful opportunities to pursue and all of these very talented and super intelligent people to pursue it. But again, as the scientific enterprise grows across the country and as the federal funding remains flat, that means there's increasing competition such that now faculty have to submit 2 and 3 times as many grant proposals as they used to just to get the same amount of money, or maybe 2/3 of the amount of money that they once got. Which now we have these historically great research programs that we've had. now need more and more institutional support, which puts more and more pressure on the whole. So this is the enormously challenging problem that not really many people are talking about, because it's a complex program, because what it really is a rebalancing of the teaching, undergraduate research, with graduate education, with interdisciplinary and very focused research programs, in trying to make that work economically in a resource environment and in a enrollment environment that's moving the other direction. And everyone's program is the most important program. And they're right to some extent. And they know, they see the potential. So while everyone to some extent acknowledges that they knew we had some challenges that we had to address, nobody here thought that it would touch their program. And that's not just here, that's everywhere, okay? That's human nature, okay? And so that's the tough thing about leadership right now, is you surround yourself with great people and you bring as many people to the table. But at some point in time, a decision must be made. Even with imperfect information, a decision must be made. And then you just try to learn from that and make corrective action as you move forward. But the premise of your question, I agree with completely. Who's got the mic next? Okay.
Hi, my name is Sarah Urbank, and I'm an English major and a senior here. My question is about some of the speaking that you've done today. You've championed teamwork and innovation, and you've also said a couple minutes ago that you want to celebrate differences in opinion because you think that we can all learn from each other. How will you personally commit to engagement with students and faculty, especially those who might not agree with you?
So the way that we have done it historically is that we've always depended on the elected representatives of major constituencies to be highly involved in the conversations to help inform decision making. For as long as I have worked in higher education administration, which is now getting to be a big number, that's the way we've done it, okay? And there were always limitations to that. But in some ways, it was the only way you could think about how do you collect the voices of 30,000 people. You have to do it through some form of representative government, okay? So we always met with the student government. Undergraduate, student, graduate. We always met with the leadership of the Graduate Student Council. We always met with the leadership of the Student Bar. We always met with the leadership of the Faculty Senate. We always met with the leadership of the University Council. We've always met with the leadership of the faculty union and the other staff associations and the other unions. We always met with the executive committees of the Alumni Foundation. We always met with the local political leadership. We always met with significant community leaders, however that was defined. We always met with trustees who were appointed by the governor, confirmed by the Senate to represent the state's interest in public higher education. And on and on and on, and before you knew it, you're out of time. You don't have any more time left on your calendar to meet with more people. And while all of that sounds like, well, that ought to work, it doesn't work extremely well, because even those representative leaders can't adequately represent all of the diverse opinions that are present on the campus. And even those representative leaders can't then go back and communicate effectively to all of their representatives the flow and the directions and the movements of conversations and everything that was considered and then everything that was thrown away. They have also a hard time discerning what is a brainstorming conversation from what is a decision. And then all of a sudden brainstorming conversations get communicated as if they're... So there were always problems and challenges with communications, even the most representative and robust forms of input and feedback. And the only thing that I have learned, not the only thing, but one of the big things that I have learned about communication going forward is now higher education administration has to learn to use some of the new technological tools to do a better job and to address some of the shortcomings that representative forms of communication couldn't do. And so we have to learn how to use social media, more effectively, because those who are getting the stories wrong are using it only to spread more misinformation. It must be countered, therefore, with what is the right information, because if there's no information, then wrong information will fill that void. And sadly, because this is one of the reasons why sometimes administrative costs go, we've got to spend a little bit more money bringing in people who know how to use social media. We've got people who know, and maybe it's a reallocation of resources, which we'll always look to do, from more traditional forms of communication to now more modern, more current, and more effective versions of communication. And as recently as a week ago, we are piloting a new social media communication project to see if we can do a better job of doing that. It's with a group called Focal Point. It's a relatively small contract to teach us how to use social media better, to communicate more effectively with not just students, but all of the various constituencies that we need to do a better job of communicating with. Yeah, sure.
Okay, my name is Reese. I'm a communications major. I focus on public relations.
Mhm.
Just touching back on the tensions, the teachers, I guess, they want to go on strike, and I'm just wondering, that would be a huge disservice to us. We need them. And so I'm just wondering what's being done to ensure that that does not happen, if there is anything being, like, if that is even a priority right now, because
Yeah.
it's really scary to hear that in a lot of classes that I go to, that's a really strong possibility.
Yeah. The state of Ohio and at all campuses where there are faculty unions has a process called collective bargaining, through which wages and benefit and working condition decisions get made. Okay. This is not a process with which I've had a lot of experience with in my career. It was only until I came to the state of Ohio that I experienced a process like this. So it's not common throughout the country, and I've had roughly 7 years to try to learn this process. Okay, first at the University of Toledo and now here, and I'm still learning. So do not consider me an expert on this subject. I'll just share some of the things that I've learned and then try to answer your question as best I can. The process is set up to engage in constructive debate. Okay, there is a management negotiating team. There is a labor negotiating team that meet regularly and to try to come to an agreement of what should happen with all of these various issues. My sense is that there's a lot of progress has been made, especially as it pertains to non-economic issues. Okay, what is left, I am told, are the more difficult wage and benefit decisions. And again, in this economic environment, those decisions are much more difficult than they would be in an environment where resources are expanding. When both parties can't come to an agreement, an independent third party is used, first as a mediator, and then as a more binding type of what they call fact finder. Okay? And we've not begun that process yet. We are in mediation right now. I believe that's correct. But if we go to fact finding, the process is that both sides make their final cases, and then the fact finder will render a decision. And then that decision is final unless either side votes by 60% not to accept the fact finder's decision. So I am hopeful, as someone who is not greatly experienced in these areas, that if we go to a fact finder, if we do share in the end different opinions as to what is fair and reasonable and affordable and most important, that fact finder will do a good job and render a settlement agreement that both sides then can accept, and hope to avoid the worst case scenario, which would be a strike by the faculty. I've been told by faculty at this institution and at the institution that I was at in the northwest corner of the state, nobody wants a strike. But on the other end, everyone does want what people perceive to be a fair agreement moving forward. So I am trying to put my fear aside and trust the process and let it work its way out, believing that both sides want to get to an agreement. That's what I hope and pray will happen.
May I ask a
Yes.
question, or maybe more of a comment? I'm Gopal, College of Engineering. I just wanted to harken back to a question asked by Akila, who carries some of my genes, by the way.
Oh, okay, good.
I think if I heard her right, and maybe I'm misinterpreting it or interpreting it in a different way, she was just saying, hey, I'm an undergraduate student. I love the arts. I love the sciences. I heard about this school biomimicry program, which is mostly for graduates. How can I, as undergraduate, get more involved? I think that's and I think you gave a broad answer.
Yeah.
But I think the simpler question is, how can I and a few of my friends get involved in as an undergraduate to the biomimicry program?
Yeah, and you may, having been here much longer than I have, may have a better answer for those who would be interested in such an answer. But one of the things that we do know is if you're a part of the Honors College, the undergraduate kind of research experience is something that's kind of built into that program that provides more undergraduate research opportunities. In terms of specifically the biomimicry program, I'm not exactly sure how undergraduates would, but we would connect you with Peter and some of the folks in that program that could answer that much better than I could. I do know this, it's a very cool program. I would want to be involved with it if I were a student here. Yeah.
It could be that the answer is come to the Excel Center.
Nah.
If you need engagement
Yeah.
and you don't know where to go,
Yeah.
come to Jeff and Ian.
I like that. That's simple. Okay, that's part of my talking points moving forward.
They will connect you
Right.
with Peter or the right people.
Absolutely.
That's great.
What we want to be. We want to be a central platform, a convening point.
Super.
On that note, I think we should wrap up, everybody. I want to say thank you very much to President Scarborough. Thank you very much. We're going to take about 15 minutes, and we're going to rearrange the room, and then we have the Entrepreneurial Learning Initiative doing a keynote on the Ice House program, and then that's going to go into a workshop, a student and faculty hackathon. But I want everybody to know in about 15 minutes, we're going to see if President Scarborough, I know he's a busy man, maybe he can stick with us for a while. But just on as a gift from us to President Scarborough, I know it gets cold. The weather is not so much different from Toledo, but in Akron we do have some rain. We do have some cold. So please, stay dry and tell everybody about the Excel Center. So there we go. And when he's busy writing emails at 4 in the morning, he might run out of power, so here's a little power bank for you too. Thank you guys. We'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. Thanks very much.
Yes, downtown Akron Partnership. Yeah. Cool. So were you just attending to sort of to hear what was going on?
Pardon?
Become more connected with the Excel Center?
Yes, I think it's good.
So are there opportunities for research and
Basically, we're like another tool